Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. It's all encompassing, folks. Before I even get started, I want to ask you, I want to beg you, I want to implore you, please share, and what else I'd like you to do for me? Share. And why is that so important? Because the things that we talk about, generally we speak a different direction that what's coming on the mainstream media. Why? These guys have masters that they have to cater to. We don't. Our masters are whom again? You, because who does this place belong to? You. Who owns Politics Done Right? You do. Anyhow, let's get busy. Welcome aboard AVQ. Welcome aboard Bruce Pollard. I normally take care of answering things beforehand, but I want to address Brother AVQ. AVQ says, having a crisis of faith, so to speak. Dario Hunter, Green Party candidate, alleges that the Green Party rigged their primary. I don't know what to believe in anymore. Might be away for a while. Please do not disengage from anything, my brother AVQ. Do not disengage. The idea is in politics is this. Politics is nasty. Politics is not always honest. A lot of people that jump into politics are not doing it out of an altruistic endeavor. Many people that get into politics do it to get ahead. So what happens is people get discouraged with politics many times, and many times what they want to do is throw their hands up in the air and say, we can't change anything. That is what the people who are going into politics to do no good is expecting. All right? I serve on several organizations as well, and that is usually the modus operandi. There are two solutions to that problem. You throw up your hands and you go ahead and disappear and things continue to happen the way they're going to happen, or you tell yourself. Sometimes you don't step out. You step to the side. You don't disengage. You keep abreast of what's going on for that entry point that you can have to remake it. But you never leave. You never abandon it. The reason we have a Donald Trump, the reason we have a dysfunctional Republican Party, the reason we have a dysfunctional Democratic Party is because too many of us who know that we want government to be we the people, those who people want government to be we the entitled, they have staying power, they have money, they have all these other attributes that allow them to do that. For which I'm telling all of us that are generally in the belief that government is we the people. Never disengage. You stay engaged with organizations like what we're doing here. Politics Done Right. We're family. We stay engaged and we execute where we need to execute. But again, we never disengage. Trump is a result of our disengagement. A dysfunctional healthcare system is the result of our disengagement. The dysfunctional economic system is a result of our disengagement. Income inequality and wealth disparity is a result of our disengagement. Because the people who are driving these things tell us we can do as we please because they're not going to do anything. When they lose one battle, they're gone. No. My goal, as far as doing what I'm doing, as far as Politics Done Right, is to tell people be empowered. Being empowered does not mean that you win every battle. Being empowered does not mean that, you are going to get everything you want at the time that you want everything that you deserve. Being empowered means that you know you have the right, and that even if they do not want to give you that right, you are willing to stand up for that right. As a black man, I know that the police in all practical well, we're going to talk about that later on because I have one video that I want to show you. But I don't feel animosity to anybody because I know police represent a clear and present danger to me and people who look like me. Does that mean that I think folks are bad? No, I know that police all have a particular attribute that make them police. They have an attribute that we want and one that we have to control. So people, my dear brothers and my sisters, love you all. We stay engaged. That's what we do. And we don't get disappointed because, look, whether it's the Green Party, whether it's the Republican Party, whether it's whatever party, it's made up of the same people. The Green Party is what used to be the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and it turned out that they had the same issues. They had the same issues of racism. They had the same issues of sexism. They had the same issues of homophobia. They had the same issues. All those issues are right there, ingrained in the Green Party as well. So it's not about jumping ship or trying to form. I was about to make a mistake with my position in the Democratic Party till somebody reminded me, Egberto, you always said, wherever you are, you stay and you work from within. You work from within. There will always be people working from without, but you work from within if you have the wherewithal to do so. Anyhow, let's get busy with the program. But again, folks, if you're just joining us, I ask you so kindly, please, 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 please share this now. We need to get people going ahead and sharing these programs. Now, I want to, let's see, Green Party shares the same values as the Progressive Party, but tend to have slightly higher priority on environmental issues. That is absolutely true, my dear friend AVQ. That is absolutely true. Okay, what is the program about today? Title of the show today is Why the Trump Recent Interview Show He is Cancer. School openings, police and POCs, and green, what I really wanted to say, green energy. The interview that Trump gave to Axios had some doozies. How many deaths are necessary to close schools? Police, POCs, and green energy. Trump never disappoints on the negative side. His interview with Axios shows more than incompetence and lack of empathy. It shows non-existent intellect and cancer that continues to metastasize. It has got to be stopped before it becomes fatal. And when I say it becomes fatal, that is not figuratively. That is literally. Here in Texas, we, as Bruce was just alluding to, we have decided to open schools up. My concern is for teachers. My concern is for that kid that thinks everything is okay because these willfully ignorant adults, and I say that with respect, these willfully ignorant adults have allowed themselves to be hoodwinked into believing somehow Sweden had the answer, as opposed to all the other countries that followed science and are showing how it should be done. But we are not going to follow that. We are going to attempt a Swedish model. Come on, folks. I hope at election time you realize all the people that must be voted out of office. And I'm not just talking about the national people, president, senator, congressperson. I'm talking about your local school board. I'm talking about your local city council. I'm talking about your local county council, county judgeship. All these people now, look at what they're doing today to remember the reason why you will run, to remember the reason why you will vote them out. Please, brothers and sisters, it is imperative. We have to remember these things. But anyhow, let's start with the first video. What I want to show you is Donald Trump in his own right. We'll take it now, and then I'll take it on the other side. If you want to see clearly that this president doesn't have a heart, that this president does not have empathy, that this president solely thinks about himself and is tunnel visioned. Most people, if you are told about people dying, even if it's not your own, even if it's not somebody you're close to, the mere fact that we have over 150,000 Americans dead because of your policies, you would have some sort of remorse. You would have some sort of a feeling that, hey, I feel so sorry for what's happening. Well, none of that for Donald Trump. Check this out.
Speaking of leadership and responsibility, I want to play for you, General, what President Trump said in an interview with Axios about communicating with the people who trust him.
I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people. They love you. They listen to you. They listen to every word you say. They hang on your every word. They don't listen to me or the media or Fauci. They think we're fake news. They want to get their advice from you. And so when they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr.
your
President.
definition of control? Yeah. Under the
It's giving them a false sense of
right now,
security.
I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. But that doesn't mean we aren't doing everything we can. It's under control as much as you can control it.
It is what it is. What kind of response do you take that to be coming from a president?
Well, we wish he was more articulate there. Moving to the future, we've got to get to this president and get him to embrace the public health message led by Fauci, Briggs, and CDC, and get him to embrace testing. We've got to spend some time with him. We've got to bring him on board like we brought him on board with masks. But if he's our president now, and we've got to solve this problem, otherwise we will go into Thanksgiving with 500 million people dead. We've got to get the testing fixed to figure out who's sick. One person that's sick in a period of 10 days can infect 40 other people. This numerations is not working. With kids going out to play soccer and football, we are going to blow up again even before the fall flu.
That's why I love General Honore, because he's actually right. Right now, Donald Trump is the president. And yes, we have to try like hell to get him to at least appease his people in the time being until we get him out of there. So General Honore shows the human being that he is, the humane person that he is. Look, he's the president right now. Let's try to convince him to do the right thing so we don't get 500 million people dead by Thanksgiving. But my God, empathy, the lack of concern that there are people in this country that cannot see that and are tunnel vision to just because he supports the judges that they want, etc. It shows a severe deficiency in our civics in this country. When will this end? This will end November 3rd. This will end November 3rd. Please don't be concerned. I hear a lot of people that are expressing unnecessary concern. All we have to do, and I want to, before I get on to the next subject or the next video, I want to talk a little bit about people being concerned about what's going to happen in November. Here's the deal, people. November is going to be a big, humongous win for progressives, for Democrats, etc. Let me give you a caveat. The only thing that Donald Trump is trying to do right now is sow doubt. Sow doubt in the minds of people that make you believe his demise is not inevitable. I am telling you, his demise is inevitable because enough people in this country already know the truth. Enough people in this country has seen how bad he is, and enough people in this country know that another 4 years, not only locally but internationally, he will destroy the United States as any form of leaders in the world. Because right now, we have enough intelligent people, including people in the plutocracy, the corporatocracy, that when they add two numbers up together, they understand that Donald Trump is honestly a clear and present danger, not only for POCs. If it was only for POCs, they wouldn't give a damn. But he is also a clear and present danger for the entire country. And because they understand that, he is gone. So we don't need to follow Donald Trump's travails when he's talking about or we are going to stop, whether I'm going to sue Nevada for allowing people to vote, whether I'm going to, I believe the election is going to be rigged if we use mail-in ballots, or whether it's going to be, we need to forget that, whether we're going to postpone the election. That is smoke and mirrors to give you the belief that somehow that means anything. We have to grow up. Those of us that are the voters of November 3rd or leading up to November 3rd, and Pollard always say, vote early. All of us need to stop playing into this game. We don't need to waste time about whether the election is going to be delayed, whether mail-in ballots are going to be somehow, what is the word, fraudulent, whether none of that matters. That is smokescreen. It is a smokescreen to put fear in you, to put doubt in you, to not only put fear and doubt you, but for you to say, you know, what's the point? Nothing is going to change anyway. All these things are there to confuse you and make you believe that maybe it doesn't really matter anyway, so I'll just stay home. That is the idea. But the vast majority, most Americans want this man gone. And they used to talk about the secret Trump vote. It is different now. The secret Trump vote is likely not the vote for Trump, against Trump. I want you to hear that again. This time around, the secret Trump vote is not the vote for Trump, but the vote against Trump. It's going to be the vote in Appalachia, my brothers in Appalachia, that says, hey, this redneck wants you no more. You know why? Because I cannot feed my kids when you're doing what you're doing. And look, eventually, I've always told, when I talk to my brothers and sisters on the other side, Republicans and right-wingers and Tea Party folks, I always tell them, I am not asking you to overtly change. I'm not asking you to be a new person. I'm not asking you to change your religion. I'm not asking you to change your party. I just want you to remember two things. One, when you go into that booth, your vote is between you, that machine, or that paper, and your God. None of your friends, family, or acquaintances know who you're voting for. My second thing that I usually tell them is the following. And please remember, when you go into that booth, you are not only voting for you. You're also voting for your daughter, your mother, your sister, your brother, and everybody else. So therefore, you think about, financially speaking, I don't care about your ideology, financially speaking, ask yourself, how will you be able to survive effectively and with the least amount of pain? You can get out of that booth and say, Viva Trump, having voted the right way. You can get out of there and say, Viva Trump, even though you voted somehow that is against Trump. Because you decide that just like Trump only cares about Trump, and most of you know that. Most of you understand that he's a liar. Most of you understand that he's selfish. Most of you understand that he's a crook, but he's your crook. And you feel that's a part that's okay. And that's why you hold on to him, because he's your crook. But again, remember, just like he has thrown all his people under the bus when necessary, he has thrown you under the bus with the stimulus. He said the following. And even though he's backing off of it, though McConnell isn't, I want to give indemnity to all corporations. Why? That means whenever they're telling you, I am coming for you, I am coming for you to vote, or rather, I'm forcing you to go back to work. I'm sending you back to work. And when your company says, get here or you lose your job, so you go back, and they make you sick, and they give you the coronavirus because of how they are. In as much as they are responsible for doing it to you, McConnell and Trump wants to make sure that you cannot sue their friends and make money off of their friends after they've gotten you sick, after they have destroyed your personal economy. So people, brothers and sisters, understand. You don't have to tell anybody that you're not for Trump anymore. You can keep singing Trump's praises, but vote your economic interests. Vote the interests of your family, your friends, and everybody else. Okay, want to show you this other part with Trump, because Brother Lewis, John Lewis, just passed away, hell of a civil rights leader. He also knew how to be pragmatic when he needed to be pragmatic. He did the right thing most of the times. Of all the times that I've disagreed with heroes, I've only had one disagreement with Mr. Lewis. And that was the time when Mr. Lewis dissed Bernie Sanders. And the reason I was concerned about Mr. Lewis dissing Bernie Sanders is because of what he dissed Bernie Sanders for is exactly what Donald Trump and others would have dissed John Lewis for, as not being present when needed to be present, etc., etc., etc. John Lewis is a hero. John Lewis spilled blood for others. John Lewis, as President Obama said several times, in the long run, will be a founding father of the new America, the America of justice, the America of equality. And as that happens, one would hope that we will diminish the godliness with which we treat the founding fathers and treat them the way they should, which is smart guys looking out for themselves and others and ensuring that there's an economic system that partially works for some but always worked for their class. Nothing anybody else ever done. But I don't want many of us to simply on faith think that because the founding fathers didn't do this, that we shouldn't. Because remember, if a person like me thought about the founding fathers, I would still be 3/5 of a person. I would still be a slave. So for me, I take the founding fathers from a very pragmatic position, creating a constitution that was elastic enough to change. That in its own right was a great thing the founding fathers did. But as far as morality or anything else, they were just men and men of that particular time, which were men that weren't too good for everybody else. Okay, print the part that from Donald Trump now, and then we'll take it on the other side. If you ever doubted how petty, how immature, how childish, how uncaring, how immoral our president is, take a look at this and then we'll take it on the other side.
I just wanted to point out that the president was asked about John Lewis by Jonathan Swan, and take a look, Jen, at the way he responded.
Well, how do you think history will remember John Lewis?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know John Lewis. He chose not to come to my inauguration. He chose. I never met John Lewis. Actually, I don't believe.
Do you find him impressive?
I can't say one way or the other. I find a lot of people impressive. I find many people not impressive. But no. But I didn't.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't. Speeches, and that's okay. That's his right. And again, nobody has done more for Black Americans than I have.
Jen Palmieri, it's all about him.
It is. I mean, no matter what the topic is, it's all a reflection on him. I had forgotten that John Lewis was one of the first leaders in Congress to say that he would not go to his inauguration, and that is all. You know, it's just it's all he cares about is it's not complicated with this guy, right? This is we look for deeper meanings, but all it cares about is how does this reflect on me, and how did this person give me the respect I think I deserved? You know, regardless of the 60-year incredible history that John Lewis had as a leader in civil rights.
Now think about that. Nobody has done as much as I have done for the black community. Even though I didn't want them in my apartment complexes, I wanted to make sure they couldn't go into my apartments. Even though I called them by different derogatory terms, even though I made sure that all the things that could go wrong with them went wrong. He is so concerned that about black people, about Latino people. No, Donald Trump, we all know better than that. Now, when it comes to John Lewis, how childish can it be? Well, he didn't come to my inauguration, or he didn't come to my State of the Union speech, so I am not going to go to his funeral. I am not going to go to this icon's funeral who has done massively good works to move civil rights forward. This shows us what we have as a president. And it is important for us not to just listen to his words. I have done more for black people because I overturned that incarceration bill, or I reduced it, or whatever. For political reasons, that is. Let's remember, this is the guy whose apartments we couldn't live in. Just remember, this is a guy who, when 5 black men in New York were found to be innocent after they spent many years in jail, still wanted them hung. This is the guy who every one of his policies, from his white nationalist policies to other policies, are a clear and present danger to everybody that does not represent the majority population in this country. Look, a petty president, an immature president, we cannot rid ourselves fast enough from this cancer. Yes, we cannot rid ourselves fast enough from this cancer. All right, continuing. Look, when I was earlier speaking about the founding fathers, I left out one of the most important things. Women had no say. That was, that should have been the first thing the second thing that I said. Yeah, all black folk were pretty much used like a ping pong ball, etc. But women had no say. Women had no vote. I mean, we have to understand. We look at the context of things and we take the good that people have done and we highlight the good, but we don't deify anybody, founding fathers or otherwise, especially given what we knew has happened throughout this country. And if we can ever get away from that, we can move ahead as a country because we start valuing people for who they are. We start valuing people for what they do. And when we start to value people that way, when we start to value people not where they came from, what they look like and all of that, you would see how much or how quickly people try to live up to an expectation. I remember when I started my company and there were quite a few people who weren't on my side per se. And I remember there are some who were. And my thing, the reason I worked so hard not to fail was because there was that expectation level that people who cared about me expected out of me. And that is the same way with just about everybody. You start expecting performance. You start expecting things from people. And people generally strive to live up to their expectation and your expectation. And that is where we have to go. One of the reasons we can have a Trump is that we have not asked presidents to live up to the ideals that we claim this country represent. We would say things like, that is just politics. And I don't say that is just politics. I say stay involved in politics because politics is you. And if you are going to live up to those expectations, you are going to stay engaged. Okay, I want to move on to, this one is sort of dear to my heart because, again, I have these statements that I talk about the police all of the times. I don't trust police. I don't believe in police other than get the job done, and I stay the hell away from them as much as possible. So let me play this, and then after that, I'll give a little bit, say a little bit more of what I think. Check this out. I want you to look at this video. This is showing police brutality. I want you to tell me if you have ever seen such an occurrence with folks that aren't people of color. I don't know. I have never seen it, but please tell me if this has ever happened or generally happened the way it happens to people of color. Check this out.
This morning, a police department outside Denver is apologizing after an incident where police handcuffed children, the youngest just 6 years old. In a statement, the Aurora PD says this was all over a possible stolen vehicle and a traffic stop was conducted. The people in the car, all black, were ordered out onto the ground and placed in handcuffs. Once cops determined it was not the stolen vehicle, they unhandcuffed everyone involved, made efforts to explain what happened, and apologized. This story continues to put the spotlight on police protocol after the family says this should not happen to anyone. Now, the day was meant to be a girls' day at the salon. Taking a look at what happened, we do want to warn, it is hard to watch.
Before this family got to an open salon, they were detained by Aurora police.
I saw a car next to me with 4 girls in it. Feet were up on the dash. It was real cute. And next thing I know, the police pull up silently behind them and had guns drawn on the children.
Jennifer Wirt started recording on her phone when the police handcuffed the kids and put them face down on the ground.
that's police brutality. I don't give a damn what nobody say. That's police brutality.
From right to left, the video shows 12-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
She's screaming for her mother, and I'm trying to calm her down.
Police say they detained this family because they got a report of a stolen vehicle from the parking lot at East Iliff Ave and Buckley Road. But Brittany Gilliam's car wasn't what they should have been looking for.
He's like, something about the car being reported stolen. I was like, this happened months ago. You guys cleared it. We had to pick up the car the next day, the very next day. Like, you know, so I'm not understanding what's going on.
Brittany's car was stolen in February and found the next day. The vehicle that was actually reported stolen on Sunday morning was a motorcycle with Montana plates. It just happened to have the same license plate number as Brittany's Colorado plate.
There's no excuse why you didn't handle it a different type of way.
Aurora police say they are trained to do what's called a high-risk stop when contacting a stolen car. That means weapons are drawn and the people in the car are told to lie on the ground.
It's like they don't care. Who am I going to call when my life is in danger?
The family filed a complaint against Aurora police. They want protocol to change so this won't happen to other kids.
Look, politicians, black and white, Latinos and everybody that's a part of the system, they hate when many of us simply say the police is not your friend. Look, the police is not the friend of people of color, and specifically because the liberties that they take with people of color, the things that they do in the aggregate against people of color, they do not do it against the majority population. That is a statement of fact. They treat them differently, whether you are upstanding or not. And that's been proven over and over again. The police is not your friend. We should make the police our friend. I don't call the police. I stay away from the police. I want to be nowhere close to a police or be in a place where I am required to deal with them, because there is an implicit bias against people of color. Punto final. Punto final. Y eso es cierto. Let me tell you something, guys. It is sad because a friend of mine sent me another video, and I can't get to it right now because it's very long, and what I needed to do is take out select sections so that I didn't bore you. Just sent you some time, but I just want to give you a synopsis of the video because it is so important. This is a federal officer who has to drive between Birmingham and Huntsville, Alabama. She drives 1,000 miles every week. That is 50 miles, I think 100 miles in either direction. Something like that. But anyhow, she gets stopped all the time on the ride. This time they pulled her over, and she actually they told her showed license, all that good stuff. But she wasn't speeding. She was doing nothing. It was clearly the reason she got pulled over is that she was a person of color. But they didn't know she was an officer. And when they got there, sort of things that they tell her is, oh, you think you're a cut above because she's a federal officer, right? And they're giving her hell. And she is giving it back to them, but she's being respectful as far as following their commands of what to do. And then they tell her, you can report us if you want to. And that is exactly what she did. And apparently there's going to be some resolution to how their chief said they were wrong, all that good stuff. But what I'm saying is, this isn't a sometime issue. This is an all of the times issue. And when you see these people that are out there protesting, they're not protesting because it is an art form, or they're not protesting because they're playing the race card. Police is a clear and present danger for people of color. I am a professional. I am an engineer. I am a business owner. I left all of that to start doing political activism. And that is one of the things that I'm working with as well. But if somebody like myself can say that I consider the police a clear and present danger to me, to people who look like me, my daughter who's in med school, she knows it as well from experiences of her friends at her school. please, my brothers and my sisters, specifically my white brothers and sisters, join in and become allies. We need you as allies. There's a particular kind of people, whether black or white or Latino or Asian or whatever, that feels compelled to go into policing. And that is a lot of times that bravado is something that we do need. But with that bravado, many times it's attached to their own prejudices. And one of the major prejudices right now that has always been from the inception of this country is a prejudice against people of color. Let's admit the reality. It's in most. Let's admit the reality, and instead of hiding or being or feel bad about it or whatever, let's all do something about it. Because you know what? When you start working together as all those folks, those multicultural folks you see in these Black Matter protests, you know why it's happening? Because as they're working together and as they have allies, they're saying, damn, you're just like me. Wow, we have the same hurts, we have the same pains. So why should we tolerate one of my brothers and sisters getting treated any differently? So join the group. Join. Let's make this thing so big that these guys have just got to change. That the sheer gravity of the amount of people understanding reality forces a real change in this country. Anyhow, before I go, we're way past half. Let me go ahead and put my little thing in here, folks. Look, Politics Done Right would appreciate if you become subscribers to Politics Done Right. And how can you do that? You can do that by joining our subscriptions at politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/Patreons. You can also subscribe or contribute at PayPal. That is politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. That is politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. As I've mentioned in the last few shows, we can now accept memberships on Facebook. We don't have many, but I wish you'll start going to Facebook as well. And that is politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. And of course, you can go to our store and buy our cups or t-shirts or books, etc. Some cups like this, or Politics Done Right cup. We also have the cups with the AOC and the squad, all that kind of. So we have several cups that says we support independent media, all that good stuff. So please consider supporting the program in any form possible. And most importantly, I want to urge you, I want to beg you, I want to implore you, please share, and what else again? Share, because that is how we're going to really make things happen. Now, beforehand, Bernie Sanders wrote a piece on masks, and one of the people that he had join him in the deal is a friend of mine, a guy that every time I go to Netroots, we sit down and we chat and we interview, all that good stuff. It's no other than Dr. We call him Dr. America. So let's have a word from Dr. America, and please let your people see this, because Dr. America makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and talk to Dr. America.
Masks. We have more than enough public health research and evidence proving that masks and face coverings stop the spread of COVID-19. Public health experts have said if all of us who can wear a mask do so, then we can save 40,000 lives. Each of us wearing a mask can prevent shutdowns and help people get back to work sooner, saving our economy $1 trillion. That's why health workers like me strongly support the Masks for All legislation introduced by Senator Bernie Sanders. This bill requires the Trump administration to use the Defense Production Act to support and coordinate the manufacturing of masks using the best available designs. The goal is to provide 3 high-quality reusable masks to every single person in America free of cost. These masks will be delivered by U.S. mail and will be available at post offices, pharmacies, and COVID-19 testing sites. Working with state and local governments, masks will also be distributed to jails, detention centers, homeless shelters, and licensed group homes for children and teens. Free, high-quality, reusable masks will be provided to all essential workers on the front lines. Masks for All is for literally all of us. Like many of you, I'm anxious for a rapid COVID-19 test or a vaccine, and there are lots of brilliant scientists working really hard to deliver these technological breakthroughs. In the meantime, the Masks for All legislation can help each of us do our part with a simple, low-cost, proven solution: wearing a mask. We cannot let this become a political game. Wearing a mask will help end this pandemic. Let's make it happen with Masks for All.
I like that. I didn't listen to it till the end, but I like that part that says masks for all. Masks for all. It's almost like Medicare for all, isn't it? Okay, before I go into answering questions, I wanted to bring up another thing. I know you guys, right now we are in an interesting situation, right? And that situation is the mistrust in the media. And I want you to know that is by design. If you take a look at the Powell Manifesto is that document. And by the way, I keep the Powell Manifesto. I always keep a copy of the Powell Manifesto at the egbertowillies.com. So you want to read a copy of the Powell Manifesto, go to egbertowillies.com. But when you go ahead and read what it had to say, this is exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to create chaos. They, being the corporatocracy, they needed to create chaos in people's belief system. They needed things not to be black and white. In other words, they didn't want absolute truth. They wanted plausible truth. And the reason they wanted plausible truth is we would not sustain the kind of economic system we have if people start understanding how things worked. And since that's where people were getting, they needed plausibility. And that is the reason why we can look at data right now and Donald Trump can go on an interview and say, oh, well, America is doing much better than anybody else because the amount of people dying as a function of the number of people diagnosed is less in this country than most other places, when the reality is most other places no longer have to test because they have the thing under control. And if they don't have to test because they have the thing under control, they select a very few people. And most of the people that they're going to test then in a hospital that come with symptoms, if they test positive and die, of course, that average is going to look kind of skewed. But Donald Trump doesn't know stats. Donald Trump doesn't know math, but his handlers are giving him enough information to give the semblance of what he's saying is plausible. And that is what they want to do to us. So here we go with the story. It says, it is an absolute tragedy and embarrassing that in the United States, practically the only major country where the COVID-19 pandemic is worsening by the day, coronavirus has killed 150 million people. States like California, Texas, that's the wrong one that I'm reading. What's wrong with you, Egberto? Wrong one. It was. A report released this week indicates a majority of Americans believe the media plays a critical role in democracy, which that is true, and think the United States news outlets are failing to deliver accurate coverage. That's a bad thing for democracy. John Sands, Director of Learning and Impact of Knight Foundation, which conducted the study in conjunction with the Gallup, told the Associated Press, our concern is that when half of Americans have some sort of doubt about the veracity of the news they consume, it's going to be impossible for our democracy to function. And that is where we are getting right now, that we cannot agree that a fact is a fact. Though a fact will always be a fact, because if it's not a fact, then it's not a fact. That sounds funny, but that's true. So, I mean, we have to now try to train our people to listen to shows like Politics Done Right. We tell the unadulterated, factual truth. And we ask you not to take what we say at face value. We tell you, whatever we say, please feel free to corroborate absolutely everything that leaves these lips, tongue, and mouth. Fact check it if you will. Because our goal, our real goal, is to ensure we do nothing but tell the truth. Let me give an example of plausibility versus fact. Mike Cisak just writes, California had mail-in voting for its primary and over 100,000 ballots were disqualified from counting. A primary race in New Jersey had 20% of the ballots disqualified through their mail-in voting. Okay? Notice those numbers sound astronomical. Now, what is not said by Mr. Cisak in kind of using that as an argument against mail-in voting is that for all the male folks, for all the people that they throw off the ballots, and for all those people that still get to vote by using what's called interim ballots, okay? Most of those interim ballots, not 20%, most of those interim ballots are, guess what happens to them? They're thrown away. So, I mean, look, the voting system in America is arcane, it's old, it's outdated, and the idea behind much of it, I personally believe, is always to do, if mischief can be done, to do mischief. The problem in America, it is so disjointed, the voting system, is that you'd have to have some huge collusions to have all kind of disjointed organizations framing things. And if you have a whole lot of different localities, the chance of getting caught and breaking a scheme up is pretty darn good. And that is what people have to admit. And thank you, brothers. Michael Rudnin, I knew it wouldn't be long before Michael Rudnin corrected Mr. Mike Cisak. Because Mike Cisak gets right-wing news, which generally means lying news. Anyhow, moving on, and I say that with absolute clarity. Right-wing news in general is lying news. And you know what? I've always wondered how difficult it is to have to curve truth, or rather, curve a lie to give it plausible truth. I mean, first of all, I think it's ingenious, right? But my God, the immorality of doing that. The immorality of doing that. I had some other stories that I wanted to discuss, but right now, because we're kind of close on time, I won't. But let me just tell you to take a look at this particular article here on Common Dreams. And it has to do with, you notice Kodak got a big contract from Donald Trump. Right before Kodak got that contract and it was made known, the CEO got 2 million shares of the company. Stock options to 2 million shares, which means as soon as that $765 million federal loan was approved, that stock went through the roof. When he exercised whatever the value is of that stock, it would have been huge. Remember that, folks. These are the kinds of things that your president is doing. Now he has Microsoft buying TikTok, right? Let me tell you one of the problems that they don't talk about it. He's concerned. He's concerned that China is going to steal TikTok data. Anybody who's on TikTok, any data that's stolen or whatever, they've said, who cares? Who cares? You know, when I'm on the internet, that's pretty much what I say. Who cares? Who cares, right? But here's the kicker. Isn't he opening the door? The biggest technology companies in the world are ours. Microsoft, Facebook, Google. You know what he's doing? President Trump is giving China and other countries the wherewithal to say, wait a minute. You are messing with one of our companies by saying, okay, an American company has to come and buy this subsidiary in the United States. A Chinese company can't have it. All right, when Google comes to China, when Microsoft comes to China, when all these guys come to China, we are going to make sure that a Chinese company has to run this subsidiary because we are going to follow the path that the United States has laid out. Donald Trump shoots from the hip because he doesn't understand complexities. He shoots from the hips for immediate gain and generally loses the whole damn thing. Anyway, let me go ahead and start talking to my brothers and sisters. First of all, welcome AVQ, Bruce Pollard, Michael Rudnin, Norman Reynolds, Kathy Pascal, welcome aboard. Hey, let's see who else is here. Mike Cisak. And I think that's all I have so far that I can see. Anybody that I missed, just drop me a line again, and when I scroll down, I'll see it. Bruce Pollard says, have you been watching your local school board ignore the county judge? Yes, I have. In fact, I was in communication with one of them. I won't say who, but yes, I have. I already said my piece about thinking that they're very anti-science. Let's go ahead. AVQ says, Sweden's response to the coronavirus was a huge mistake, resulting in a much higher hospitalization and death tally. Mistake this big was a rarity for them. Yeah, it was a rarity for them. But the good thing about Sweden, which Sweden can do certain things because they have socialized medicine, they have a strong social safety net. So even if people got sick and or whatever, right? Those people it doesn't destroy their lives. In America, your life, you get coronavirus in America, it's a good possibility that your economic life is destroyed. Because what they don't tell you is when you're in a ventilator, or even if they just have you in bed for a week on oxygen, you're going to leave that hospital with a bill of at least $250,000, and forevermore thereafter, because the insurance company is not going to pay a lot of that. Eventually, I guarantee you, they're going to sell your debt on the pennies on the dollar to a debt collector, and that debt collector is going to hound you, and he's going to destroy your credit. That is what we're talking about. These people are instituting. Let's see. Michael Rodnin, well, that was a reply. Norman says, please note that the Swedish model is not possible here. There is no legal structure to enforce tracing, healthcare enforcement support. They also have a social safety net, and that's what I said before, and a medical belief structure that is different from our own. Exactly. Let's see, social belief that does not protect the elderly the way we do. They will not move from long-term care to ICU. Exactly. And you know, I don't even know if we should. Right? I don't know that we should do that either. Personal, but this is a personal thing for me. If I have to be on machines and my life after machines are not going to be like 100%, let me go. I don't want to be a burden to absolutely nobody, neither physically or economically. They have had a hands-on approach with a lot of management, but have a large death toll nonetheless. Yes, they have. AVQ says, conservatives who are tired of being screwed by Trump and the Republicans. There was a recent poll out of Virginia that gave Trump a 19% approval rate for his pandemic response. Unrecoverable from. Exactly. Pascal says, Kathy says, Oregon has consistently voted by mail for years and years, and you've done a perfect job of it. Love your governor. She is great. I can't remember her name right now. Bruce says 3.5 other past presidents attended. Yes, Carter only sent a piece of mail because brother Carter, man, I just love Jimmy Carter. I've always loved that guy. He's so old. He's gone through cancer, falls, everything, and he's trucking along. All right, let's see who else I need to answer real quickly before we get out of here. California had mail-in voting. No, Mike Cisak, I read that already because that was a misinformation you're attempting to pass as news here on Politics Done Right. Still love you, though. You keep doing your thing. We'll get you eventually. Hope Bickler, welcome aboard. Lee Alexander, welcome aboard. Hadn't told you guys hi yet. Okay, let's see. What is Hope saying? Hope says Gaston County is NC Confederate monument coming down. Yay! I love Hope. I love the way you said yes. Hey, thank you, Kathy. Kathy, one of our great listeners. Kathy, actually, Hope. Well, Kathy too, but Hope, one of our great listeners. Hope wrote a blog that appears on egbertowillies.com. You guys need to check it out. It's about a Confederate statues coming down, and she also got into some more detail on Robert E. Lee and some other things. Great writer. Lee Alexander, as usual, here as usual. Of course, Lee, I love you, brother. Egberto, I might have misheard you. Did you say 90%? That poll out of Virginia was 19. I hope you misheard me because I saw 19%, but my tongue could have said 90%. Whichever, it's 19%. Whatever, you corrected it if necessary. And I guess Egberto is calling CVS fake news. No, I don't call CBS fake news. I call interpretation of what you said. The interpretation and the implication that you attempted to make the comment, Brother CSAC. That's all. Look, let me tell you, we here on the left, in this instance in time, not all the time, but in this instance in time, we are the ones that are right. We are the ones that are correct. We are the ones that are moral. I mean, there are times that may not be true, but in this state, in this current time, that's who it is. So anyway, folks, please remember to go visit our store, store.politicsdoneright.com or politicsdoneright.com/store. Whichever one will get you to the same place. Lee Grant says we should go full Taliban on these. Hey, come on. I'm a pacifist, brother. I'm strong, tough, and everything, but I'm still a pacifist. I don't believe in doing bad things, Lee Grant. Lee Grant. Come on now. You know better than that, Mike. Oh, Lee Grant, welcome aboard. I didn't see you before, I don't think. We have our regular conservatives in here that I love as well. That's Lee Grant and Mike Cisak. Good guys. We're going to make them progressives yet. They will be. Even if they don't tell us, they will become progressives. Right? Right, Lee? Come on, Lee. Talk to me. Talk to me, Lee. You're going to be progressively, right? Welcome aboard, Sandra Serandos Peterson. Welcome aboard. Okay, I don't call I don't think they're trolls. I think they really like being around us. I honestly think they like being around us. Come on, CSAC, you like being around us, right? And you too, right, Lee Grant? Because they know that they're going to be coming here and they're going to be treated with respect. Anyhow, folks, don't forget, again, please visit us at Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Become a subscriber. I ask you so kindly. Become a subscriber. Join the family. This is your show. Your input is accepted. And by the way, I always tell people this. If you ever want to be on show, you know what I'm doing. And this came from another brother called me up, Brother Lindahl. He said, Egberto, when you do your Zoom, are you going to put those Zoom on the screen as well? And then I said to myself, you know what? I better work on that. So let me tell you what I'm expecting to do next week. I hope to have it done by next week. I'm going to do it such that when you call in, if you call in by phone, of course it's just voice. But if you call in on Zoom, I'll be able to put you in the feed. So you'll be broadcast as well, if that's what you want. Of course, you can turn your cameras off or on. But if you call me from your computer on that Zoom, I give you the Zoom telephone number, and on top of the program, I give you the Zoom link. If you call us through the Zoom link, I'll go ahead and you'll be on screen and you'll be having a dialogue. So what I want to do is I want to have us a bit more interactive. Not that it's going to overwhelm the show to take away from the points that we want to make, but to just give everybody that opportunity to say what they want to say. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.